Hey, what's going on guys, TurtyWurty here, and welcome back to another Minecraft mining tutorial for version 1.15. In this tutorial we're going to be covering dimensions. Now I'm sorry I haven't posted for a while. I have been trying to do containers, but I have been having one small error with it. So I thought I would just record the dimension one first, but I've been trying to figure that out for a while now. I still haven't got around to fixing it, which is quite a shame. But hopefully you can expect a lot more videos out now, because I'm basically off school for about 6 months now, because of all the stuff that's happening. And obviously then it's the summer holidays. So yeah, that's very interesting. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I won't have to be sitting my exams, which is definitely very interesting. So yeah, hopefully there should be a few more videos out throughout, and later on as well. I mean, right now I've been working on my personal mods, just because I have a lot of time. I've kind of left this a bit, because it's a bit stressful sometimes, I will admit. But yeah, let's get started with this tutorial on dimensions, as this has been requested quite a lot. So, the first thing we're going to want to do is go into our init package and create a new class, and we're going to call this dimension init. Okay, just like that. In here, the first thing we want to do is, well, we're going to be doing this with deferred registries, but you can also do it with object holders if you feel that is preferable for you. But deferred registries are a lot easier, so that's what I'm going to be using. So you just want a public static final deferred register, and this is of mod dimension, which is a class that Forge has created for us to make dimensions a bit easier. And I'm just going to call this mod underscore dimensions, and this is going to be equal to a new deferred register, and that is going to just be Forge registries dot dimensions, mod dimensions, and the mod ID is just our main class, so tutorial mod dot mod ID, and just import mod dimension and deferred registry and Forge registries. And now we can just create the registry object for this, so a public static final registry object of mod dimension, and we're just going to call this example underscore dim, and that's going to be equal to mod dimensions dot register. First is the name of the dimension, so for me that's just going to be example underscore dim, and then the supplier is like this, and that's just your dimension class. So I think it was new, the dimension class, so we're going to call it example mod dimension. Now, just as a note, we have a mod dimension and a dimension, and they are two different things. So you got to make sure you don't get confused with that. And before I forget, let's go ahead and register this in our main class. So just come down here, and before biome init, no, after biome init, you want to do dimension init dot mod dimensions dot register of the mod event bus, just like that. Ignore this container types, that was just for my container video. I haven't removed it yet. Yeah, and that should be it. So now what we can go ahead and do is create this class in our world package. So world, let's create a new package. Let's call this dimension. And inside of here, we're first going to want our mod dimension. So example mod dimension. Just like that. And this is just going to extend mod dimension. There we go. And just add the add the unimplemented methods right here. And in here, as you can see, this returns a by function. A lot of people get very confused when it says this, but it's basically just the factory, and the factory is just your dimension class. So example dimension is going to be the name of us and of ours, and then : new. Just make sure you return that, not just put it, because that's not going to help. And now we need to go ahead and create this class. So let's go into here, create a new class, and call this example dimension, just like that. And this is going to just extend dimension. Now you need to make sure you implement the import the right dimension. So that's going to be net.minecraft.world.dimension. Otherwise you'll have some issues. And then just add the constructor and add the unimplemented methods. And let's just fix these names. So this one is just world, and we can change that to world. Dimension type, that's just type, and we can call that type. And then I believe this float is partial ticks, but we actually want to remove that there and just super off of 0.0f. There we go. And let's just remove all these comments because they are horrible. And we don't need them because it's just auto-generated comments. As you can see, there's quite a few methods which allows it to be customizable. Okay, so the first one is create chunk generator. So that's just going to be the chunk generator for our dimension. So I'm just going to do a new example chunk generator, and I'm just going to basically be using the overworld chunk generator. Now this is going to take in the world, it's going to take in the biome provider and the gen settings. So that's just going to be a new example biome provider, and also a new example gen settings, just like that. Now, so you haven't created those, we haven't created any of those, so we're going to have some errors, but that's fine. We will do that in a second. Yeah, it's not too happy about that because obviously we haven't created them yet, but that's fine. Find spawn, we can just leave those as null. Unless you actually want to do that. Next is calculate celestial angle. I'm just going to copy in the maths for this, which you can find in my GitHub. It's basically calculating the angle of the sun and the moon. Is surface world, so this is basically whether it's the main world, to be honest. So whether it's the main world. So obviously it's not. So I'm just going to return false. Next is the fog color. Now this takes in a Vec 3D, which does instantly confuse some people. But basically Vec 3Ds can also be used as colors. So you can look that online if you want a different fog color. But I don't want a fog color, so I can just do Vec vec3d.0, and that basically says no fog color. Next is can respawn here. This is very self-explanatory. It's literally whether the player can respawn there or not. So I'm going to return true. And then does XZ show fog? This is basically whether there's really dense fog or not. So I'm just going to return false. And obviously there's loads of other methods you can add. So one I'm going to add is can sleep at. Obviously here you can check a block pause, you can check the player entity, you can do loads of different things, but I'm just going to return sleep results dot allow. No, let's do bed explodes. But you can allow it if you want, or just deny it. So you can still respawn here if you set the world spawn point there, but if you actually try to sleep in a bed there, the bed will explode. And next you can obviously do the height. So if you wanted a different height world, you can do that as well. And there's also get the cloud height and just the normal height. So you want to get actual height. I am going to leave this as 256 as my chunk generator is actually based a lot off of this value. That's why you generally don't want a higher world, because the chunk generator and a lot of things do depend on that max height. Okay, but we are now done with this class, so let's just go back into here and import that. And there you go, that error is now gone. And now what we can go ahead and do is just create these three classes. Oh, we've actually already created that. Oh, because that's in my world type. I'm just going to delete that package real quick. There we go. Because I couldn't get the world type to work either, which is kind of sad. I spent quite long on that. Alright, but now we can go ahead and create the chunk generator. So let's just go into here, create a new class, and call this example chunk generator. Okay, now this is basically how your dimension generates. Now because I want it to be like the overworld, my chunk generator is basically going to copy the overworld, but obviously if you know what you're doing and you know how to do maths for different worlds, then you can go ahead and calculate stuff yourself. But if you wanted a never or end generation, you can just press Ctrl-Shift-T on Eclipse. I'm not sure what it is on IntelliJ or Visual Studio Code, but you can just press Ctrl-Shift-T and search end chunk generator, or never chunk generator, or obviously overworld chunk generator, which is the one I am using. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this from my GitHub. Well, not from my GitHub, but from the community mod that everyone's working on, and just import everything. So let's see, util, that is probably net.minecraft. Feature, that's going to be Minecraft. Java.util.list. Everything else should import by itself, and obviously we still have an error here because that's using that, and that's example. Okay, so you just need to make sure you change those gen settings to your own, and we will create those now. So let's go into our dimension package once again, create a new class. This one's going to be the gen settings, so humlands gen, no, not humlands, that's my that's the mod I'm going off of to get the code here. So it's example gen settings. There we go. and this is just going to extend generation settings like that. Okay, and this can just have 3 methods. So, well, there's actually loads of different methods you can have. It's basically the configuration. But I'm going to do get biome size. I'll just check if... nope, okay. So, public int get biome size. And I believe the default for this is 4. So I'm just going to return 4 as well. Public int get river size. The default for this is also 4. Public int get biome ID. The default for this is -1. And the get bedrock floor height, which actually already exists, is just 0. I think all of these can have an override. No, that one can't. That one can't. That one can't. They might be called func. No, they actually don't have a name. Okay. I thought they did exist, but maybe they don't. Okay, there you go. Obviously, once I do the config video, I will be covering how you can put these in your config, and then they won't be so hard-coded. But for now, we have to hard-code them because config will be coming in the future. So now you can close that class, and yep, that will fix all of these errors here. Now we just have the biome provider. So let's go into the biome provider, and let's look at that. So let's create this class. So dimension, new class, and we're going to call this example biome provider. There we go. This just extends biome provider, as you could probably guess. Pretty simple. A lot of this you can just look at vanilla code for, to be honest. None of it's super hard. And you just want to make this constructor public. We can name this set of biomes. We can just name that to biomes, and obviously super off of that. And you might want a random variable here, so private random rand. A lot of people have that in the biome provider. And then in the constructor you can just do rand is equal to a new random. There we go. And then you can have your list of biomes below this method. So a private static final set of biome, and you can just call that biome list. And that's going to be equal to an immutable set. There you go, of biome. Oh no, not like that. Dot of, and this basically takes the elements that you want. So I'm just going to do biome init dot example biome. And obviously you can do other ones as well in there. Oh yeah, .get, of course, because we're using deferred registries. And then you can just return here the noise biome. So this is basically just the base biome. Like for the overworld, the base biome is the plains biome. It's the same thing here, but the base biome for your dimension in here. And obviously this is the actual list of biomes, but this is the base biome. So it's all kind of based off that. Yeah, so we can now close that now and import that. Now, there is one thing I think we are missing, but what is it? 1 second, I did that wrong. Let's go back into here. We actually need to super off of this biome list, and that means we can get rid of that right there. There we go. That's much better. And then we now have no errors, which is pretty nice. Yeah, that's it actually. Now we just do need to go into our main class. So let's just go in there. And you want to go down, yep, here, where we have our biomes. If you just go below this, we can have another @subscribe event. One thing you do need to make sure you have up here is this mod.event_subscriber. That's quite important. And here we can just have the subscribe event. So that is a public. Actually, that's not going to work because we need to use the Forge bus. So, have we created a Forge bus? No. Okay, let's do that. So in our util package, let's create a new class and let's call this Forge event bus subscriber. This is going to have the annotation @mod.event_bus_subscriber. That's going to take in our mod ID, so our main class.mod ID, and then the bus is going to be bus.forge. Make sure you import the bus from net.minecraft. Oh, actually, just need to make sure mod ID is equal to that. There we go. Make sure you import the right bus and the right mod. And in here, we just have an @subscribe event. Import that, and that's going to be a public static void register dimensions. That's going to take in a final register dimensions event, and we'll call that event. Make sure you do your imports. In here we can do, actually there's one thing we are missing. Let's just go into our main class real quick. We need to actually create the dimension type. So at the top here we can do a public static final resource location, and we can call this example _dim _type, and that can be equal to a new resource location off of our mod ID and the name of our dim. So let's just call that example. There we go. Now we can go back in here and we can do if dimension type dot by name, and the name is the one in our main class, so tutorial mod dot example dim type, and we're just going to check if that's equal to null. If it is equal to null, we want to do dimension manager dot register dimension. First is the type, so tutorial mod dot example dim type, and then it's the actual mod dimension, so that is dimension init. Oh god, what did I just do? Dimension init dot example dim dot get, and then the data. If you just look here, the data is a packet buffer, which is basically configuration. I'm just going to set that to null, and then has skylight is whether the dimension has skylight, so I'm just going to say that's true. And then come out of that and you can do tutorial mod dot logger dot info, and just remove all these arguments. We only want to put in a string, and say dimensions registered. There we go. Just format that, format our main class as well, and that should be it. Currently we don't have a way to get to our dimension. Soon I will be covering portals, and I will also cover a command in which we can get there too. But for now we can just use the uniquely given forge command. So I'm going to run the game, and yeah, I will see you guys in the game, and we'll go to our dimension. Okay, so guys, I am now in the game, as you can see. Now if I use the forge command, /forge, set dimension, and then at A or whatever, it doesn't really matter, and then our tutorial mod example, as you can see, we join the world, and once we load in, it'll take a few seconds to load the dimension. But here we are, and it's our dimension. So because we set the Vec 3D to 0, the sky is black, which is very strange. It really is. Yeah, definitely very strange. It's very interesting, but yeah, here it is. As you can see, it is still stone, but obviously if I went into the chunk generator, so if we just go world, dimension, chunk generator, we should be able to see somewhere, or at least I thought, there was stone. Was there not I was pretty sure there was a thing to see. One second. Let me just look through this. I know there is a way to make it stone. This is the dimension. One thing I would like to mention, slightly unrelated to this tutorial, but it's more about the biomes tutorial. Now, I said in the tutorial I couldn't find it in the overworld, and that is because I actually didn't set it to be in the overworld. So if you just go into your biome init class and you add this line right here, that will make it spawn in the overworld. So in fact, I'm going to comment that this line, or the line below, will make it spawn in the overworld. There we go. So if you just go ahead and add this, that will make your biome spawn in the overworld. Obviously, if you want to get rid of it, you can just comment it out, or alternatively just delete the line. It's up to you, but that will make it spawn in the overworld. I totally forgot about that method, because I searched for quite a while. But yeah, as you can see, there's rivers, there's lakes, there's all that jazz. Very interesting terrain for sure. I've already seen some pretty cool stuff that some people have done, because obviously this is quite up and down and all of that. Yeah, it's very interesting. That's definitely for sure. Now I am just going to show you the video order again, one last time, just for anyone who keeps asking, what am I going to be doing next? I have skipped a few to get to this, but the next will be, if I can get the container working, it will be the containers and GUIs. That will be 2 videos. I've already recorded them. I just need to fix the one last little issue I'm having with them. But the next video might be advancements. because they are super easy, and then config because that's also super easy. Fluids, they're super easy. Dependencies, super easy. Tessers, slightly more complex. I might move that down in the list a bit. We will see, but as you can see, I ended up moving world types all the way down here because I couldn't manage to do it. And actually, one thing I would like to do, depending on, I'll put it here. It doesn't really matter where I put it. I'm just going to add mix-ins in there. Just don't tell Lex that I added that, because he won't like me. He already doesn't like me probably, but just shh. Also, don't tell him that I put this in there either, because he doesn't like those either. So yeah, if just so everyone does know, if you do join the Forge Discord, don't talk about core mods or mix-ins because you'll be banned straight away. A lot of people aren't aware of that. Someone will tell them use a mix-in in a different server, and then they'll go there and then they'll ask, what's a mix-in? How can I use it? And then they get banned, and it's quite sad. But Lex doesn't like that stuff because he's a bit sensitive, to put it simple. Anyways, that's slightly unrelated. I'm sorry for going off topic. But I hope you guys did enjoy this tutorial. If you did, please do be sure to smash your face into that like button and subscribe as well. If you really enjoyed, please do be sure to share it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.